Welcome back to another Gray White North Corvette video. Today we got some more C8 news, some good news, some bad news. The first article I wanted to look at was your Chevrolet Corvette C8 could have cracked wheels. Early adopters of the 2020 Chevrolet Corvette Stingray were unhappy when they discovered quality control issues with the interior leather stitching, but now the mid-engine sports car has a more serious problem. Last year, owners of the C7 Z06 and Grand Sport sued General Motors after discovering cracks on the wheels due to materials that were cast rather than forged, and now the wheels on the C8 Corvette have been affected by a similar fault. According to a technical service bulletin by General Motors published by Corvette Blogger, the Corvette Stingray quote-unquote may have a condition where exposed porosity and wheel castings are larger than allowed and do not meet internal GM requirements. A lot of it seems to be forming on the inside of the rim, but as you can see from this picture, there is cases of it being on the outside as well. The article also says, in other words, cracks are forming on wheels again, which could cause a tire puncture and lead to an accident. 2020 and 2021 model year Corvettes fitted with open spoke and Trident wheel designs are affected. This article says 2020 and 2021 Corvettes were affected, but I think that's kind of up for debate because I think a lot of people have said that it is actually only the 2020 models that are affected. But I guess if you have the open spoke and Trident wheel designs, it's probably not a bad idea to take a look just in case or have your wheels inspected. GM does believe only about 10% of the cars were affected by the wheel defect. So even if you have Trident spoke wheels, it does not mean that you're going to have this problem. If a wheel has any cracks, the technicians at GM will drill a 0.5-inch hole through the rim barrel of the wheel so they can't be used again, and faulty wheels get disposed of through a metal recycler. As bad as this is with another kind of fault on GM, at least they admitted to it, and people can check out their wheels and, possibly not get into an accident or have any problems down the road. So I recommend anyone that has the open spoke wheels, take a look at them and make sure. From the leather stitching being crooked on some cars, the front trunk flying up on people last year, they've definitely ran into a few issues with the C8. Hopefully by 2022 they'll have all those issues totally fixed. Here we have an article about the E-Ray. The Corvette E-Ray Hybrid expected to be quicker than the C8 Z06. By now you have certainly heard that General Motors intends to produce a hybrid sports car by the way of the C8 Corvette E-Ray. This electrified Corvette is expected to arrive for the 2023 model year. Maybe, probably, who knows. And will replace the Grand Sport in the sports cars hierarchy. So from here on out, we could be seeing no more Grand Sports, and they will now be E-Rays in that position. And while we have a little bit of information related to what sort of performance this thing will have on tap, nothing official has come from GM at this time. That said, a new report from Motor Trend suggests that the hybrid C8 Corvette E-Ray will be no pushover of a performance car. In fact, the publication states that it will likely be quicker than the upcoming 2022 C8 Corvette Z06, at least by some metrics. The E-Ray will utilize two electric motors in conjunction with the LT2 V8 engine. These motors are also said to provide functional all-wheel drive and torque vectoring, but Motor Trend believes that the car will instead arrive with a single front-mounted electric motor, which should produce around 215 horsepower. No one's really sure exactly how much horsepower the V8 or the electric motors are going to produce exactly, but if I had to guess, the total output of this car will probably be somewhere around the 700 horsepower range, with the LT2 V8 already putting out around 500 to 600 horsepower and probably receiving an additional 150 to 200 horsepower from the electric motors, should bring it up to around 700. And with the C8 Corvette already accelerating 0 to 60 in only 2.8 seconds, some people getting as low as 2.7 and 2.6, I'm really curious to see what kind of 0 to 60 times the E-Ray will be able to pull. And just recently they announced the 2022 Corvette is going to be going to places like Australia, Europe, and places where they have right-hand drive vehicles. The 2022 Corvette C8 in Australia starts from $145,000. Even with the conversion rate for money, that's going for a lot more than it is anywhere else by far. Australian enthusiasts have been eagerly awaiting the arrival of the right-hand drive C8 Corvette ever since it was unveiled in mid-2019, and finally pricing and availability details for the car have been announced. Set to be sold by the newly established General Motors Specialty Vehicles, GMSV, the 2022 Chevrolet Corvette will be offered in 5 flavors, kicking off with a 2LT trim that's priced at Australian $145,000, which US $110,000, plus on-road costs. In my opinion, $110,000 US That's probably more on par with like a fully loaded 3LT with almost every option, and that's only getting you a 2LT. Those who want something more will be able to buy the 3LT trim level from Australian $160,000. That's $121,000 US plus the on-road cost. That's definitely going for a lot more than the C8s in Canada and the US have been going for straight out of the dealerships, that's for sure. It says here that the hardtop range will be topped out by a special carbon edition, pricing details of which have not been announced. Importantly, all C8 Corvette models imported into Australia will come as standard with the must-have Z51 performance package. This includes the magnetic suspension, enlarged Brembo brakes, a new rear spoiler, electronically controlled limited slip differential, and a unique exhaust. And a lot of people don't know that the Z51 version of the Corvette comes with a different final drive ratio in the gearing, so that's why the 0 to 60 is actually slightly better on the Z51 because the gearing is different. In the Australian cars, it says also land standard with a front axle lift system. So this could definitely be going into why a 3LT is upwards of $160,000, because I guess in Australia they're not giving you a choice. Every car comes automatically with Z51 and front lift, so that's probably what's adding to a lot of that cost. Details about the Corvette Carbon Edition are limited at this stage, but it will reportedly receive hand-picked interior trims, distinctive wheels, a bespoke finish on the brake calipers, and an owner pack, details of which have not been confirmed. And the very last thing I wanted to talk about in this video was presenting the best and worst C8 Corvette body kits. This is an article by CarBuzz. These first pictures here, we have the Pandem wide body kit. Personally, I'm a fan of this body kit. I think it's really nice. At first, I wasn't a huge fan of the almost rectangular wheel wells, but they've kind of grown on me over time. Here we have the Speedcore Carbon and Aero kit, which this is a lot more of a subtle design, but still very nice. Here we have the Sagala Designs wide body RR kit. This is also a really nice kit. The wing is really unique, and the splitters and the side skirts also have a really unique shape to them. Here we also have the Econ Motorsports Scissor doors. So if you ever wanted Lamborghini doors on your Corvette C8, hit up Econ Motorsports because they have some pretty cool door options. Personally, this is something I would never do to my C8, but everyone's preferences are different. And we have the RSC Tuning Aero package. This one's also a little more of a subtle body kit, but still very clean. And here we have the LG Motorsports C8 Gt2 Wing. This is a serious wing. This wing is huge. If you're looking for about 8,000 pounds of downforce, this is the wing that you want to go with, I think. Although to be honest, it's probably more for looks than aerodynamic purposes, but I'm no expert on wings. And there's a bunch more body kits featured in this article, so if you do want to check out any of these other body kits, I'll leave a link in the description to the CarBuzz article. So that's the end of this video. Hope you guys are enjoying the news videos. If you did enjoy, please leave a like, subscribe, and I'll see you in the next video.